Okay, good afternoon once again, all of you. Good afternoon. I believe it's audible to all of you. If it's audible, can you
Good afternoon, sir.
say good afternoon? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Okay, okay. So I believe it's audible. It's a humble request that I'm not muting all of you today. If you are able to mute and keep your microphone at your end, just for the benefit of our clean presentation. Okay, so you can unmute the mic whenever you have any questions to ask. You can either unmute the mic and ask through the microphone, or you can ask through the chat box also. Okay, both will be monitored by us. Okay, so we have an exciting session today. What is a startup and a business, right? Now both these words, startup and business, is pretty commonly heard, right, by us. Both these words are pretty commonly heard by us. Word startup, business. Can anybody say what is the difference between them? What is a startup and what's a business? Can anybody point out any difference between both? What's a startup and what's a business? Anyone?
Business is just like an investment of money and multiplying the money. But
Okay.
whereas startup comes with an idea for a
Uh-huh.
problem,
Okay.
then expanding it to money, and also it's like
Uh-huh.
giving a new product to the society.
Okay, okay. So
Yes, sir.
business is all about investing and then multiplying the money. Okay,
Ye-
but startup is about finding a solution to the problem of the people and
Yes,
then
sir.
giving it back to society. Yeah,
And also earning by it.
earning by it. Okay, so the motivation of a startup, if I'm right, I should say, is creating a solution for a problem, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good. Well, that's a good explanation. Anybody else? What's the difference between a startup and a business? What do you think? Okay, so Sukirta is saying the new start of an idea or well grown up. Okay, so Sukirta Xavier says that it's a new start of an idea. Idea. Okay. Anybody else? What's a startup? What's a business? Are both of them same? How many of you think they both are same? Are both of them same?
No,
No. Are both of them same? No. Okay, so then
no.
what's the difference? Can you point out some difference?
Uh, if there is any problem in society, finding out about it, and we're going to start a new company, that is called a startup, I think so.
I'm sorry, I did not get you clearly. Your voice is breaking up. Can you say once again?
Is there any problem in the society at the moment when you're doing further,
Uh-huh.
making as a businessman and growing it up as comes as startup, I think so.
Okay, so if there's, it's again working upon a problem. Okay,
Mhm.
so good. So many of you have different idea about startup business. Very valid reason shared by you. That it is something that solves a problem. But is it
Yeah.
all about solving a problem? Can business? One of the comment that I can see in the chat box is business can be something that is taken up from the ancestry. That is something that is passed on from the family.
And this, yeah.
Okay, it's not something that is started new. So is it? Some of you may say startup is a new idea. It's
Hmm.
something that is pursued new. Some of you may even say startup is something that is innovative. Nobody has actually started. It's a new solution to a new problem. So we all have a different idea about what's a startup and a business. A very well-known author and a business coach, consultant, he actually defines startup like this. Okay, he says startup is a temporary organization used to search for a repeatable and scalable business model. Okay, it's said by Steve Blank. Many of you would have heard about Steve Blank. He's
Yeah.
very highly respected management guru. Startup is a temporary organization used to search for a repeatable and scalable business model. Okay. Now, what I want you to actually look here is the word business model. Okay, because business model is all that can make a difference in a startup, and the difference between a startup and a business. Okay, now you may say, sir, business model itself is a word which has a business in it. Okay, but the way you do business is all that can define a startup as a startup and a business. Okay, So what you said is exactly right. A startup is formed by new ideas. Startup is formed by new solution to a problem. But let us discuss today what exactly defines a startup. What exactly defines a business? Because this clarity is very important. Because we are living in an age where we have a lot of businesses. India is actually having a lot of businesses. We have a lot of business units, like we have small scale business, large scale, medium scale business, micro scale business. We have so many chambers, MSME chamber is there, but there are very few people in India who discuss about startup actually. And the people who discuss about startup also actually have very vague idea. They feel startup is same as business. There is no difference. Business is business, startup is startup. It's all the same. Some of them think startup is all about technology based business. Business is all about ancestry based. Now, all of these ideas are not completely true, though they may be partially true. So I want to actually discuss why we should understand the startup and business, very important, and very importantly, these definitions are very important for students like you who are attending, students, and I know some of your faculties also who are attending, but it's very important from your point of view to understand this difference, because you are actually in an age where startup is the talk of the town. Okay, and let me tell you, neither one is better than the other, but startup is better in my personal perspective. As a student who has access to the technology today, as a student who has access to so many different markets today, okay, and as we are living in a very uncertain time, startup is something that can actually change the game. So that's why we are discussing about what is a startup and what's a business today. Okay, so let me ask you one question. How many of you would, if you are supposed to travel from one place to another place, one city to other city, in a bus? Now, when you think about bus booking, how many of you go to such a traveling agency to book a bus ticket? How many of you go?
Many of them, plenty, like
Many
60
of them go, okay, to travel agencies like A1 Travel, KPN Travel, ABD Travels, or whatever travels you have. Yeah. So you
Hmm.
may go to different bus booking sites. Sorry, you may go to different bus booking travel agencies like this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, how many of you? Some of you are saying I may go to an online booking portal,
Hmm.
right? So, for
Yeah.
example, some of you may go to an online booking portal like
Hmm.
this. Yeah. Did this come in your mind? Most of you would have thought about this first, right?
Yeah.
When I told about bus booking, most
Yeah.
of you would have thought about this also first, right? Now, let me ask you, if I give you both of these as an example, that is this bus booking travel agency and this bus booking portal, both of them serve the same purpose, right? Do they serve the same purpose? What do you guys think? When you go to A1 Travels, can you book a bus from Coimbatore to Chennai maybe? Or
Yeah.
maybe you can find the same bus on Red Bus portal also, right? Both serve the same purpose, right? Yeah. Both of
Yeah.
them are used to book a bus. But which one would you call as a startup and which one would you call as a business?
Redbus is a startup. A1 Travels is a business.
Now you may say Red Bus is a startup, A1 Travels is a business. So how many
Business.
of you agree this? Can I see your hands? You can raise your hands also in this thing. Okay, two participants has raised their hand. Now four participants have raised their hand. Five, six. So many of you are agreeing to this, that Redbus is a startup, but A1 Travel is a business. Now, let me ask you, why would you consider that?
Because Redbus, which we can show different ways. If you in A1 Travels, they have only one travel. They will show
Aha.
only one. If
Okay.
here in the online, we can check further. In other travels also, we can book in it.
Okay. So Redbus gives you options of many different travels to travel. When you go to A1 Travels, you can only book bus
uh,
tickets of A1 Travels. Anybody else?
Also, sir, it's in
Yes.
our hand, like it's in our doorstep. It's within our smartphone and laptop.
Okay. So it's more convenient to use. If you
Yes,
want to
sir.
book bus ticket in A1 Travels, you have to go to A1 Travels
Ye-
office.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. And
But
also we can check
Redbus
the
is
reviews
convenient
of
to use.
others.
Okay. And so you're telling about feature based in A1 Travels, maybe you don't have access to previous travelers review. In Redbus, you have access to previous travelers review. Okay.
Yes, sir. And also discounts.
You may get discounts from time to time. Okay. So you're discussing about features. Okay. What else?
Yes.
What else? What else is making you say that Redbus is a startup, A1 Travel is a business? Anybody else? You can put on chat box also. What else makes you feel like A1 Travel is a business, Redbus is a startup? Both of them serve the same purpose, right? But you call one as a startup and one as a business. And when I gave you this example, quickly a light bulb went in your mind saying, definitely, Redbus is a startup, A1 is a business, right? So intuitively, most of you are able to actually feel, understand what's a startup and what's a business. Yeah. So intuitively, most.
ஃபுல்லாமே டிரான்ஸ்பரண்ட் அந்த மாதிரி இருந்துச்சு.
So
ஸ்டேட்டஸ் போட்டுருப்பாங்களா இல்ல அந்த மாதிரி இருந்துச்சு.
somebody is most of you are able to uh, understand what's the difference between a startup and a business. It's not a very difficult task by you. Okay, it's actually something that you are intuitively able to understand what's a startup and a business. But let me give you a few pointers by which we can understand what's a business and what's a startup. Okay, so how many of you know the story behind Redbus? Can I raise your hand? How many of you know who's the founder of Redbus? What's his name? Can anybody say? What's the name of the founder of Redbus? What was his name? Anybody? Okay, so many of you have raised your hand. Can someone say his name?
Fanindra Sama.
Fanindra Sama. Okay, so that's exactly right. Okay, so was it Reddy who said that?
Yes, Amir.
Yeah, thank you, Reddy. Now, Fanindra Sama is the name of the founder or the person who actually conceived Redbus first. Okay, now let me tell you his story in short. Okay, Fanindra Sama, when he was in an IT company working in Bangalore back in the year 2004, 5, somewhere that time. He was a young graduate like you. Okay, he had graduated from an engineering college, started working in a software company in Bangalore, and you know how the software companies work, right? He used to work very hard over there, and he had actually gone asking for a leave to go to his hometown in Hyderabad for Diwali. So Diwali was just 1 week ahead now, and he had asked his boss, "Can I get a week off, so that I can go and enjoy with my family during this Diwali time?" But his boss said, "No, we have tough, non-negotiable targets. Finish the targets and then leave." So he was a little heartbroken, but he worked very hard, finished the targets, and then went to his boss asking permission for going for Diwali leave. Okay. Now, just a minute. Are you guys able to listen to me? You guys are able to listen to me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So he actually went to his boss asking for leave permission, but to his dismay, his boss said, "No, you cannot get leave because you have strict targets to achieve." And that is when he actually got heartbroken. But he then went on to pursue, went on finishing the target, and then he went to his boss again and he asked for the leave again. And when he finished his target, boss said, "Okay, go." But then there were only a couple of days left for the Diwali to come. And you know how busy the route may be between Bangalore and Hyderabad, right? And this is a Diwali vacation time when most of the people may actually travel from Bangalore to Hyderabad. So he went in 2003, 2004, when there was no online bus booking portal available. We had to go you know, travel agency by travel agency. Most of you wouldn't have experienced that, but ask our generation, we have experienced that. So we would go to A1 Travel or KPN Travel or ABT Travel and ask them bus tickets. And out of their own discretion, they would give us bus ticket. Out of their own discretion, they would give us bus ticket. There was actually no regulation on booking bus ticket. Bus ticket booking was actually done only by the travel agencies. Now, this was a difficult task. This was a difficult task because imagine if you are in Karunya. Now, I can give an example, as many of you are in Karunya. If you have to go home during Diwali, then you have to go and book a bus ticket from maybe A1 Travels. Then you have to travel all the way to Coimbatore, book the bus ticket, and then go back. Okay, because you cannot expect in Diwali time to go just before the bus starts and book the bus ticket, because it will be a peak time, right? So this was a problem faced by him also. He went there and did not find any bus ticket available. Finally, being tired of searching in 3-4 travel agencies, one uh, agent, okay, who was standing outside one travel agency, came and approached him. He said, I can get you a bus ticket, don't worry. And he got him a bus ticket. But when he took that bus ticket and went to board the bus, he found out that and when he boarded his bus, he found out that in his place somebody else was sitting. And when he approached him and he asked him, boss, you're sitting in the wrong place, I am actually supposed to sit there, this is my seat number. Now he listening to that, that same person who was sitting there also showed a ticket which is quite similar to his ticket. And he could not argue them with him anymore. And he asked him, who sold your ticket? He was also sold a ticket by an agent. Now this guy was also sold a ticket by an agent. That was a problem. He deboarded the bus. He could not find an agent again, ticketing agent again. And that's when actually he went back. Okay, that's when actually he went back to his room. He was so tired looking for any bus tickets. And that's when he actually, found out ways of, found out that this is such a big problem. This problem actually came to his mind. And he actually started self-reflecting. What went wrong? I want to go from Bangalore to Hyderabad. There are hundreds of buses standing here in the bus depot, but there's a person like me who cannot find a bus to travel from point A to point B. Now, out of these hundreds of buses which are standing there, there will be at least one bus which will be having one ticket left for a person like him, right? And they would be looking for that for him so that they can go full bus. But at the same time, there is a person like him who's looking for a ticket which he is not able to find in hundreds of buses. Nobody can go to 100 different buses and look for ticket. Now, this was a problem that came to his mind, and he started looking at, how can I solve this problem? His mindset actually worked like that. Rather than cursing himself or cursing the bus travel agencies or anything, he actually thought about, how would I solve this problem? How about solve this problem? Can there be any solution to this problem? So he thought the solution to this problem is, let me go and make bus ticketing online portals for each travels. Okay, so he went and met A1 Travels, ABT Travels, and KPN Travels, and he asked them, can I make an online bus ticket booking portal for you? Can I make an online bus ticket booking portal for you? Now, when he told that, not many were pleased. Everyone were happy with their own indigenous paper and pen method of booking the bus ticket. Then, no, not many were happy. One or two of them did agree to it, but they were not willing to pay much for it. Now he found that even if I bring one or two of them onto the portal, there may not be many others who will come to the portal. Now this became a challenge. He thought about stopping it, but that is where he got an idea. What if I bring all the people under one portal? And that also without charging anything to them in the initial days, of course. What if I bring all of them under one portal? And that is where Redbus was conceived. Redbus was conceived. Today, you can find every ticket. Now, in the beginning in 2005, when Redbus started, it was only to find tickets for people who were traveling between Bangalore to Hyderabad. It was only for people who were traveling between Bangalore to Hyderabad. Now, they could go to this portal called Redbus and look for tickets available in each travel agency. For example, they can see in KPN Travels, 5 tickets are available for Bangalore to Hyderabad. In APD Travels, 10 tickets are available. Now, this was the only possibility then. Now, with time, he added feature by feature. And today, you can book a bus ticket. Apart from that, you can also maybe book the seat of your choice, right? You can book a seat of your choice. You can see transparent pricing between different travel agencies. What else? What are the features does Redbus show you? Can you say any other features that Redbus show you? Some of you said it can give you discounts. It does give you discounts on travel. Any other feature that Redbus gives you? Any other feature that Redbus gives you? Anybody can point out?
Comfort.
Comfort, okay. Convenience to book ticket, of course, at your comfort. Then
comparison
price,
comparison of prices, Reviewing the travel, right? Reviewing the travel, it allows you. Anything else? It allows you to have a wallet-based booking. It allows you to book either through your card, net banking, Google Pay, so many other options, right? So now let me ask you, what comes to your mind first today, in today's date, when you think about bus booking? What comes to your mind? For most of your mind, what comes to your mind first? If you want to book a bus ticket in India, what comes to your mind first? What comes to your mind first? Which means if you want to book a bus ticket, does red bus come to most of your minds?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, does
Yeah.
red bus? So for example, if you want to search anything, what comes to your mind first? If you want to search anything online, what comes to your mind first?
Google.
Google comes to your mind, right? So
Yes.
kind of even Google has become a synonymous to search, right? If any one of you say, some of you may say, Google it off. Rather than saying search it, you say Google it. So Google has become synonymous to this word called search, right? That is the impact this startup has made. The same way Redbus has become kind of synonymous to this bus booking today. Okay. Now, if anybody thinks about booking a bus ticket, everybody thinks about Redbus. 15 years back, it was not so. If anybody thought about booking a bus ticket, they may think about KPN, ABT, ARC Travel, A1 Travel, City Travel, this travel, that travel. They may not think about Redbus first. But Redbus, when it came into this business, it totally changed the business environment, disrupted the business environment. 15 years back, people will treat, the bus travelers would not treat the customers properly, but bus travelers today respect you, right? They take care of you well. They show their amenities. They show their reviews. All these disruptions were done because of this one business model twist. In the words of Steve Blank, it is all about business model that decides whether your business is a business or a startup. Okay. Now, let me give you a success story. Redbus that started in 2005. By 2017, it was sold out to GoIB for more than $125 million. Okay, today it is one of the largest bus booking portal in the world. Okay, now that is the difference between a startup and a business. That is exactly the difference between a startup and a business. Now, I would actually like to draw some important points for you by which you can decide if you are building a startup or a business. Okay, yes. So what are some criterions by which you can decide whether you're building a startup or a business? The first criterion, as some of you pointed out, a startup is something that solves problem faced by masses. A startup is something that solves problem faced by masses. Okay. Now you may ask, now if you take for example of Fanindra Sama, okay, now the problem that he was facing was not able to book a bus ticket between Bangalore to Hyderabad, right? Now that was the problem he was facing. Now to solve this very problem he was facing, he understood that if I would solve the problem of my traveling between Bangalore to Hyderabad, okay, I may end up solving problem of hundreds and thousands of other people who are actually traveling between Bangalore to Hyderabad. In fact, initially when he started Redbus portal, he started by just listing tickets between Bangalore to Hyderabad and Hyderabad to Bangalore. Okay, he had only tied up with bus ticket vendors between Bangalore to Hyderabad and Hyderabad to Bangalore. Now, all that was in his mind was to start a portal that will solve the problem of searching for bus tickets between Bangalore to Hyderabad. Okay, so he just wanted to solve the problem of those masses. Okay, today of course Redbus is solving problem of everybody who's thinking about booking a bus ticket. But the very first motivation of a startup is actually finding a solution to somebody's problem. Some of you exactly said that business is built upon profit motive or investing money and multiplying it. Definitely, that is actually a right definition. A business is actually uh, bought in with a mindset of growing and profit. I believe startup is something that put people before profit. Okay. In simple words, if I say business will always put profit first, okay, but startup is something that put people first or solution to a problem first. Now, startup is birthed in a problem. A person who has a startup in mind is a person who sees opportunity in a problem. Okay. So the first criteria for you to judge whether you are having a startup or a business idea is think about if this product or this service is solving somebody's problem. I believe it's a startup. The second second important criterion of a startup to be called startup is something. It is something that starts with minimal investment. Now let me ask you a question. How much investment would be required by Fanindra Sama to start Redbus back in 2005? What do you think? How much investment did he put?
Maybe
Maybe
just for a
30,000.
domain.
30,000.
Okay, maybe just for a domain. So how much does a domain cost? Maybe on GoDaddy or Hostinger or any other portal. How much?
150.
150 rupees.
99.
It starts from 99, 150, 200, 300. Okay, let's say 200 rupees. Okay, let's say 200 rupees for a domain. Anything else you would have bought?
Paying the agencies for giving the information.
Maybe he had to pay the agencies for giving the information. But if you tell to the agencies, I am actually helping you find customers, they would definitely give information free of cost. Okay, so maybe that cost did not come for him. What investment would he have required to float his business? Maybe he had to get some cloud storage. Okay, so back then it was server space storage that he would have required. Maybe another 200 or 500 rupees he would have spent in that. 200 or 300 rupees he would have spent in that. Anything else? He was himself a good software engineer, so he actually developed the website portal by himself. So can I say maybe maximum investment he would have required is 500 rupees? Or let's say, give a benefit of doubt, maybe he would have required 1000 rupees investment, right? Yeah. So yeah, some of you are saying for marketing, maybe he would have required some cost, right? Definitely, maybe if he had to travel from one travel to travel. Okay, let's put maybe he would have required 2000 rupees. Okay, for actually floating his business in the initial days. Okay, let's say he would have required just 2000 rupees to actually float his business. Now that much money was sufficient for him to start Redbus. Okay, now let me ask you, if you're going to start something like A1 Travel or ABD Travel or KPN Travel, how much money you will have to invest?
Lakhs of rupees.
Lakhs will be enough. You have to buy a bus, correct?
Yeah.
If you want to buy maybe a luxury bus, how much will it cost? Around 70 to 80 lakhs?
75, 85 lakhs. Yeah.
75, 85 lakhs. Then who will drive a bus?
Drivers.
You won't drive a bus, right? So you have to get drivers, at least 2 drivers, 2 cleaners you have to get, right?
Yeah.
You have to pay them salaries, right? Then if you are a travel, you have to get a travel agency, right? You have to get a travel agency space. You have to pay either rent or you have to buy the property. Right? Then you have to do interiors for your travel agency. Right? You have to keep 2 people on for work over there who would manage the travel agency office. Right? So look at the rent, the salaries, the driver, the cleaner, then all the legal requirements required to drive a bus. All the licenses that you have to get. You have to invest in that. You have to invest in bus. You have to invest in. No, there are so many I would say the investment will anywhere cross 1 crore rupees. Okay, if you want to start a travel agency like A1 Travel or ABD Travel or something like that. Now, where is 1 crore rupees and where is 2000 rupees? Yes. If I should ask you now, how many of you would pay 2000 rupees to start a business and 1 crore rupees to start a business? How many of you would be able to put 2000 rupees rather than 1 crore? Now, I know the answer is not difficult. Most of you would say, I can invest 2000 easily, but spending 1 crore rupees, you may think maybe I have to work for a few years or I have to borrow from my family or I have to sell a property. It's not that easy to raise 1 crore rupees. When you look at a business and a startup, this is one very big differentiating factor. A startup can start with minimal investment, but a business will definitely require quite a good amount of investment. If you are starting a restaurant, you have to buy the utensil, you have to buy the gas, you have to buy the interior, you have to do the interiors to the restaurant, you have to pay the rent for the space, you have to get the cook, the chef, the waiters, the cleaners. All these things are investment. But if you're starting Swiggy, do you have to do all those things? No, right? You get delivery boys who will do the job for you. The delivery boys themselves will pick up the food and deliver the food. They will have their own vehicles. So what I'm saying is, now this is the idea, a startup has. A startup always has a mindset of a lean startup. Now, I would highly recommend you to go back and read one book called Lean Startup by Eric Rice. Okay. Maybe in the chat box, I later on put in the book name and the author, or Running Lean by Ash Maurya. They talk about starting a business with minimal investment. Now, a startup always starts with minimal. It is possible to start a startup with minimal investment, but for a business, investment is there. It's pretty high investment. Okay, so this is the second very important differentiating factor between a startup and a business. Okay, the next differentiating factor between a startup and a business is the scalability option. Okay, now let me ask you, Redbus started between the route Bangalore and Hyderabad, right, back in 2005. Today, on which all routes is Redbus available? On how many routes is Redbus available? If I should ask you, is Redbus available only between Bangalore to Hyderabad today? Is Redbus available only between Bangalore to Hyderabad today? On how many routes? Many routes. Now, if I should ask you in this way, is Redbus not available on any routes in India? Yeah. I should ask you a question like this. In fact, is Redbus not available on any route in India? Is not available in any route in India? That would be a better question to ask, right? That would be a better question to ask. Is Redbus not available on any route? Because Redbus is available on almost every single route in India today, right? That is how Redbus has actually grown. It is not no more only in between Bangalore and Hyderabad. It started with that portal, okay. But after 6 months, Fanindra Sama found so much of traffic to his portal that he found he should start Redbus between Bangalore and Chennai also, right? Later on, he found he should start Redbus between maybe Coimbatore and Chennai also. He expanded. Okay, but let me ask you, today Redbus that is available in almost every single route in India, how much he would have required money to expand in his initial days? For example, he would have invested 2,000 rupees to start Redbus on Bangalore Hyderabad route, right? How much he would have required to invest between Bangalore Chennai route? How much money more he would have invested? Any idea? Can you say how much more money you would have invested after
Zero
6 months?
investment.
Zero investment. Okay. What about others? How much money you would have invested? How much more money you would have invested? Anybody else?
Maybe a few more thousands for traveling.
Maybe a few more thousands.
Thousands for
Okay.
traveling.
Rather, we can check by making a call, by checking Google.
Okay, for travel, or he could have gone back, he would have done a call. Maybe he would have added a little bit more server space, maybe, because domain was already bought up. He had already created the program code, or development part was already done. You have to just copy paste and maybe change some destinations and all those things, right? What he would have invested, maybe a little bit more server space, another 500 rupees maybe, so that more people, more footfalls can be there on the website, right? Now, what you see is he need not have invested the same amount of money that he invested initially, right, to scale. But scalability was 200%, right? And 100% scale up. Okay, almost the same traffic that you can expect in Bangalore, Hyderabad, you can expect in Bangalore, Chennai. He had to just invest maybe 1/4 or 1/3 of what he invested in the initial days, but he scaled up 100%, right? He scaled up exponentially. Now, with respect to a startup, you find scalability exponentially. No, invest little, but your scalability will be in multiple times more than that. Now, with respect to a business, now let me ask you, if A1 Travels, who started a business between Coimbatore, Chennai, has to now expand their business between Bangalore, Hyderabad, what they have to do? What will be the extra investment for them? They'll have to buy new buses. They have to get new two drivers. They have to get a new travel agency office, maybe in Hyderabad, right? Now, what I'm saying is, when you think about investment, okay, in a business, investment is pretty high. Okay, when you want to scale up your business, you have to invest more. When you have to scale up your business, you have to invest more. But that is not the case in a startup. Okay, in startup, you don't have to scale up with the same amount of investment you did in the initial days. You have to invest little, and you can find multifold scale up. That is what is called as scalable exponentially. So any startup will actually be able to scale exponentially. Will be able to scale exponentially. Yeah. So next criteria I should discuss with you is, what does a startup does is, then a startup will attract investors. A startup will attract investors. Now let me ask you one question. How many of you have heard about any of these travel agencies attracting angel investors or venture capitalists? Anybody has heard about? Anybody has heard about, any of these businesses like KPN Travel, AB Travels attracting investors? Has anybody heard about it?
Yes, sir.
You have heard about it. Have they attracted investors?
Yeah.
Which one?
Angel investors. Sir.
Angel investors who? Like Pavin Travels, KPN Travels, ABD Travels. Do you hear it in news much that they attract investors?
No. I didn't.
Hardly any of you can hear about it, right? But if you look at Redbus, after maybe couple of years of its operation, it started attracting investors, right? There were angel investors. In the later on, there were venture capitalists. 12 years later on, Go Ibibo is a South African company who actually thought about buying Redbus itself. Who actually thought about buying Redbus. Now, this is what can happen with a startup. Now, a business does not attract investors. Okay, a business, or it is not that easy for a business to attract. If I say business cannot attract investors, no, I'm sorry. A business can attract investors, but it's little difficult. It's not possible. How many of you would like to invest your money in something like an ABD Travels, KPN Travels, Pavin Travels? But at the same time, how many of you would love to invest in something like Redbus? Okay, something like Swiggy. Okay, something like Flipkart, something like Ola. Okay, so a startup is something that attracts investors. Okay, a startup is something like that would definitely attract investors. Okay, so that is a very important differentiating component when it comes to a startup. A startup attracts investor. So does your business model attract investor? Then you are a startup. Yeah. The next important uh, component for any startup is it's technology driven. It's technology driven, right? Now you would have gone to a Redbus portal. You know how much technology driven it is, right? You would have found you can even in today's date, the advanced features, you can even track a bus, right? You can track a bus, right? Before you reach a destination, Redbus also gives you a missed call to wake you up, right? That it's wake up time, wake up, the bus is going to reach your destination. So if you look at all these startups, they are more tech savvy or they are technology driven. Now let me tell you, when I think they talk about technology, it's not all about blockchain and artificial intelligence and not this advanced technology. What I say is a startup always is driven by technology that is in use, is driven by technology that is in use. Okay, so these are the 5 components by which a startup can be differentiated. Okay, starting with point 1, it solves a problem. Any startup you take there, it solves a problem. It was birthed with a motivation of solving a problem of masses. Second important component for a startup is it starts with minimal investment. You can start a startup with low investment. When you think about scalability, a startup can be scalable exponentially. With minimal investment, you can see multiple times scalability. When you think about attracting investors, a startup is something that can attract a lot of investors because of its business model, and a startup is technology driven. Yeah, I believe I've made my point here. What's a startup and what's a business? Anybody has any doubt here? What's a startup and what's a business? Yes. Anybody has any doubt? Or anybody wants to contribute anything to it about what's a business and what's a startup? Yes. Anybody like to contribute anything?
So the different investors go for a business or mostly for startup?
Difference? I didn't get you. Can you ask me again?
If you see angel investors mostly go for startup, right?
Yeah.
Investment, and they are doing a business or a
Okay, so
startup.
investors, are they doing business or a startup? You're asking
Yeah,
me that? Okay,
yeah.
okay. Now I would categorize investors in a totally different category altogether. Okay, I'll come back to it. Now investors, now there are very different types of investors, like angel investors are there and venture capitalists. Angel investors are actually high net worth individuals who like to put in their money for high rate of returns in a very short period of time. Now they are wealthy individuals. So they are not even a company. They are only wealthy individuals who like to invest. Okay. So they are neither startup or a business. Maybe I can become an investor if I have a lot of money, and I can put in some money to expect return. It's like putting money in a bank. You're putting money into a company. Okay. Now, when it comes to venture capitalists, they are kind of an organization. Okay. Now they are kind of an organization where many of them pool their money together, and then there are fund managers who disburse money with the discretion of his understanding about the market. Okay. So venture capitalists are actually an organization or a group of individuals who come and form an organization. Or there are some private equity firms. Okay. Uh, that may go to, maybe in Dubai or sheikhs, some rich individuals who want to put billions of dollars into some business. Now that's a different ballgame. So investors as such, they're not business, they are actually individuals if it comes to angel investors. When you go to venture capitalism, their investment is actually a totally different ballgame. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Any other doubts you have?
In the chart, there is a doubt, sir. You can check
Okay.
it.
How does Redbus earn its revenue? What is the major source? Okay. So Darshak has asked a question. How does Redbus earn its revenue? Now you may say, okay, so Redbus has allowed the bus operators free of cost to operate on its portal, to book bus. Now let me tell you, there are two types of revenue sources that you can look up to. There are two types of revenue sources. Okay. One is called as primary revenue source and one is called as secondary revenue source. Okay. One is called as primary revenue source, one is called secondary revenue. Now, for a startup like Redbus, the primary revenue source will be commission on every bus ticket that is booked. Will be commission on every bus ticket that is booked. For example, when you book a bus ticket from Coimbatore to Chennai, you may pay 600 rupees. Okay, now Redbus may have a tie-up, will have an agreement with that travel agency whose bus ticket you booked. For example, you booked a bus ticket of KPN. That whenever a bus ticket is booked through Redbus portal of KPN travel between Coimbatore and Chennai, 10% of the money that was booked comes to us. Okay, so that is commission on each booking that was placed. Now this is the same model in which other startups also operate. For example, Ola and Uber, they share around 16% of their commission with the driver. Okay, so when you pay driver 100 rupees, out of 100 rupees, 84 rupees goes to driver, 16 rupees will go to Ola or Uber operator. So Ola and Uber. Now that is how commission on money paid. Okay? Commission on each amount paid on the portal is what is their primary revenue source. Okay, but there are many other secondary revenue sources. Let me tell you this. Now, Redbus is the #1 portal in the world for bus booking today. It was 7th when it in 2010, but now it is #1 portal in the world when it comes to bus ticket, because India is a huge market, and Redbus has also expanded into other countries. Now it is the #1 portal in the world. Now there are around 40,000 customers that visit Redbus on daily basis. Approximately there are 40,000 customers. Now there are 40,000 people who are looking to travel between point A to point B. Okay, from Chennai to Coimbatore. Now Redbus is kind of a haven of database. Now Redbus knows that you have traveled between Coimbatore to Chennai 5 times this week, so you have some business deal. Now when you travel in a bus, you may also require to stay in some places. Now that is where collaboration takes place. Now now you would have also found you can book a place to stay in Redbus, right? You can book a place to stay in Redbus. Redbus also gives you offer when you're traveling from Coimbatore to Chennai. It says, why don't you book a hotel room here? We'll give you this much discount. Now, what Redbus has done, Redbus does not own any property with respect to that. What Redbus is doing, it is collaborating with others to earn a second revenue. So when you book a room also along with a bus ticket, you get some discount, but Redbus earns money through that. Now, apart from that, there's a huge database. For example, there's a database of people, so many people who are professionals who are traveling. Now, this database has a lot of wealth. Apart from that, there are so many bus operators who are connected on Redbus. Now, the database of all these Redbus, now bus may require so many things. It may require interior designing, it may require services. Bus may require so many spare parts, maybe new tires and this service. Now, this database of all these bus operators is kind of wealth to service providers for this bus. Now, they may come and ask Redbus, can you actually try to advertise us through your portal, or can you actually help us give us advertising right on your portal? So advertising rights on Redbus portal, or you find sometimes on the Redbus ticket, is a secondary revenue stream. revenue stream. So these are different types of revenue streams. So you have primary revenue streams, you have second revenue streams. Is that clear, Darshik? Is that clear to you? Darshik, are you here? Are you there? Yes. Okay. So it's clear to Darsh. Any other questions you have? Any other questions anybody has? I'll be happy to clarify. So, was it clear to you what's a startup and what's a business? Yes. Was it clear to you? You can either
Yes, sir.
raise. Yeah. So it was clear to you. What about others? Was it clear to you? You can put in this chat box, or you can unmute your mic and talk also. Okay. Okay. So most of you are saying yes. Okay. If you have any doubt, please reach out to me. So what is the objective of this session is to change your thought process from a business to a startup. Okay. So if you are somebody like Faninder Sama, okay. Now, if you want to solve a problem, okay,
So
that
I have
same,
a doubt.
yes, definitely.
Doubt.
Yeah, please.
Is a direct sell marketing is a startup or a business?
Direct.
Direct sell marketing.
Can you give an example of a direct sell marketing?
Pro healthy ways and different other ways
Like Amway and all?
Yes, sir.
Amway, like multi-level marketing business models?
Yes, sir. Joining others, getting money, all those things.
Yes, I wouldn't count it as a startup. I would count it as a business only. Okay, because the only difference there is in a business model. In multi-level marketing, rather than going from customer consumer, the manufacturers are coming directly to the customers through a independent business owner like you. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So there is the only thing they have skipped is they have skipped going through a retail, then a retailer, then a distributor, then a shopkeeper, and then to you. They have actually closed that gap directly from the manufacturer to the customer through independent business owner. So the money they give in commission to the distributor, the retailer, the marketer, the shopkeepers, that money is given to the individual business owners. Okay.
Okay. Sir.
Yeah.
Is there in India how many direct selling thing is going on, sir?
There are many. I don't know the exact numbers, but there are many. There are, and there are so many that comes on daily basis and disappears the next day also. We have to be very careful with the direct selling this thing. Yeah.
Why we can't trust about the indirect selling? Why we can trust in business first or?
We can trust in the direct selling. Okay, provide you check the track record. Okay. There are, for example, it is my personal view. I would trust a direct selling only if they're in existence for some time, and they have clear cut guidance in selling in India, and their promises do not sound so much, kind of so much overarching. Okay, so for some example, some direct selling people will come and say, get us 10 customers, 10 people, and you'll get at least 40,000, 50,000 rupees per month as a commission, whether they buy it. So overarching promises whoever make, you have to be little doubtful. You have to be little doubtful. Okay.
But mostly in Canada country, there is so many people are doing like this, and they are earning the money from like this, like youth members only getting like this money.
There are many. For example, you can trust. I know certain. What do you say? Direct selling like Amway is there. Now, I would trust such a startup because their entire process is taken care by them. Okay? At the same time, there are some direct selling startups who do not take care of them. For example, they connect to many other businesses and they try to be only a middleman. Okay. Now, one or two businesses pull back from them, then they are in trouble. Okay, that is where we get into a problem. Okay. So no problem. It's a something in which you can actually make money. Okay, it's like you become. It's a glorified salesman. You're not called a salesman directly. You're just called a. You're trying to promote the brand to get a customer. Okay, that's what the motive behind a direct sale company is.
With that we can improve our company also mostly, I think.
Now, if you are selling a product which can be sold through a direct sale, yes, why not?
And mostly we can get more profit also by that.
Yes. Now it totally depends upon the people you have, independent business owners you have. Okay.
Okay.
How vigorously they will work for you. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Now a startup is a thought process where with time it will grow in such a way that it will second even your presence there. Okay, for example, can someone think anything apart from Redbus today for Redbus for bus booking? So difficult, right? With your thought process, it's so difficult. So in such an adverse condition only we go for a second option. Okay, that is exactly what a startup does. Even if Faninder Sama is there or not, the Redbus is going to grow. No, to that level, can you bring your startup? That is what is a startup minds. Okay, it grows organically by itself. Yeah, it that is a possibility of the startup. Yes. Anybody else? Any other doubts, questions you have? Okay. So if no more doubts, questions. Okay, so this was exactly our motive today. Okay, to bring your thought process from a business to startup. Now let me tell you, neither of the one is bad or neither of the one is good exactly. Okay, so I'm not saying business is bad, startup is good, or business is good, startup is bad. That's not my objective. I've just given you a thought process of what goes on in the mind of a person who establishes the business and what should go on in the mind of a person who establishes startup. Remember, the objective of our session is creating an entrepreneurial mindset. So an entrepreneur is not somebody who starts a startup or a business. Okay, an entrepreneur can start up a business or startup. He would be nevertheless called as an entrepreneur, but it's a thought process. And what is more beneficial for you, go ahead and do it. Go ahead, and if you think you can start Pervin Travels and prosper with it, why not? Go ahead and do it. But if you think, no, I'm more tech savvy, maybe I cannot go for that much investment, that does not mean you cannot start a business in the domain of bus booking. Start it in a different business model, that is Redbus. Okay, so as Steve Blank said, it is all about the business model. Can you create a scalable and repeatable business model? Then it's a startup. Yeah. Yes. Any other doubts? Anybody has any doubts?
So what about the network, Geo and all? These are business or startup?
Definitely business. Yes. The network providers are definitely business. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. We will definitely discuss about them because the discussion will take a long time if we discuss about the network providers now. We'll discuss. So if you should give some examples of startup, okay, in our country, which
Oyo.
Oyo is a startup, exactly. So if Oyo is a startup, what's a business in the same segment?
Providing the good quality of room and
Yeah, what will be an equivalent business? What if I should ask this question to everyone, to Reddy and everyone? If Oyo is a startup, what's a business? For the
Hotel,
same hotel booking,
Taj.
Hotel Taj is a business, right? Now Taj Group, they build hotels. They build hotels, and they have around 70. Taj Hotel Group has around 17,000 hotel rooms to provide. Okay, but what do they do? Build hotels. They invest on the interiors. They invest on the crew member and not everything. But what Oyo Rooms did?
only
Yeah, Ritesh Agarwal, he could not afford to build a hotel. What he did, he actually took hotels which are not running, like the budget segment hotel. He gave them a standard operating procedure to make this hotel into a particular standard so that people will find it attractive to stay. The people who are looking for budget solution. Okay. And he actually made a network of this budget hotels and launched Oyo. Okay. So Oyo is actually, Oyo does not own its own. Today, in today's date, it owns few properties, but back then when it started, it did not own any single property. It was only networking hotels in India. Okay, budget hotels in India. Okay. Yes. And so that is an example of a startup and a business. If you take our, if you take, for example, our taxi booking portals in India. Okay, so if you take example in Coimbatore, you have something called as Red Taxi, right? You have something called as Red Taxi. Would you call Red Taxi as a business or a startup?
Business.
Business, right? Why?
Because they buy the cabs, they hire the drivers.
Yeah, they have the cabs, they have their drivers. So a person owns those cabs and a person owns those drivers. Now, will you call Ola and Uber as a business or startup?
No, sir, they'll just sign up the drivers with them.
Yeah. So is it a business or startup?
Startup.
Now, which works better? Which has better presence?
Ola.
Ola and Uber, right? Now, when
Yes.
Ola started in a state, was it easy for it to expand to other states?
No, sir.
Was
Because
it easy
there,
for it to expand to other states? Now, is Ola available in almost every single state today?
at starting it was tough, sir, because
Tough,
the local cab drivers won't
definitely.
accept it.
Yeah, yeah. But now Red Taxi, which started even before Ola, and how many states is it available?
I don't know, maybe only Coimbatore.
Maybe in Coimbatore, Chennai, maybe in all over Tamil Nadu. But if you see in other states, it is not able to expand its presence. But if you see Ola, it is almost there in every single state in India, and also it has expanded its presence abroad, right? So what I want to say is, Ola's business model is what makes it a startup, and Red Taxi's business model is what makes it a business. You're able to understand? Yeah. So that is the difference between a startup and a business. Okay, there's a very thin line of difference. The thought process that goes in. Okay, the first thought process is, does it solve a problem? Okay, how much investment would you require to start that business? Third thing you have to consider is, will investors find it attractive? Okay, is it scalable exponentially? Okay, is it technology driven? That is the difference between a startup and a business. Yeah, is it clear to all of you what's a startup and a business?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
To
So
you, sir.
I leave it up to you. I don't want to take a poll now, though I'm tempted very much. How many of you would like to start a business or a startup here? Okay, I leave it up to your discretion. Whichever is easy for you, do that.
I
Okay.
have so many ideas, sir. More than 5.
Yeah,
I have so many ideas. More than 5. I have.
definitely. Okay, okay, okay. So
After one and one, I gonna bring up fast. I'll go.
definitely. Okay. Okay. So if you have ideas, what I would suggest is most of you would end up in a business idea. Okay. Because that's the thought process that we have actually grown up with. What I would say is change that business idea to startup idea. Okay. So let me close with this example. Okay. There was one girl who came to me from our university, from the university where I work. Okay. Now this girl came to me with an idea of, she had this idea of manufacturing an ethnic Indian snack, and she wanted to sell it. Okay. She wanted to manufacture ethnic Indian snacks and sell it. Okay. Now a very good business idea, right? Now what she said, sir, mostly the problem that I am trying to solve is people are eating unhealthy packaged snacks which are high in fats and salt and all this component which is unhealthy for people. Instead of that, there are so many ethnic snacks in our India, especially in Tamil Nadu, in Andhra, in Kerala, which I want to manufacture and I want to sell. So I said, how are you going to do mass manufacturing? She said, I'll require some machines. I've targeted 4 or 5 snacks now, and I'm going to do it. Now her idea was excellent. She had an excellent idea to start off something like this. But the problem was the investment. When she started looking for the machineries costed a lot. At least the machineries costed around 5 lakh rupees, 6 lakh rupees. And if there was a low cost machinery, it could not give a big outcome. Now, this is where she started discussing with many people, and we started discussing. And then I said, then when we discussed this idea with one project executive in Entrepreneurship Development Institute, Tamil Nadu, he said, now why should you guys look for loan to get a machine? Why should you guys look for manufacturing these ethnic snacks? I know so many self-help groups in Coimbatore and as well as all over Tamil Nadu who are making ethnic snacks. There are so many self-help women groups who are making ethnic snacks. Now there may be one self-help group who's making one type of ethnic snack, like maybe a murk or elunda or some kind of snack. Now what idea he gave, rather than manufacturing it, why don't you start a portal which will network all these self-help groups which will create the snacks and sell it, and you can actually you can become an e-commerce portal of only ordering ethnic snacks. Okay, only ordering ethnic snacks. Now that was exactly, yes, exactly as Srivatsan has said, we can make a network of those who are already making these snacks. Exactly. So what she did was, her idea was a business idea in the initial days, that was to make snacks by herself and sell it. But then she transformed that business idea to a startup idea, where she thought about starting a e-commerce portal which will give a network of all the snack makers. Like she'll become like an Amazon of only snacks. Okay, so you can go to a portal and confidently order snack which is organic, naturally made, homemade, and ethnic Indian snacks. Okay, and that will be delivered to your doorstep. Now she does not need to make snacks, she does not need to buy machineries for making snacks. All that she has to do, she has to network. Now that is a startup. Okay. Now this is easier for her, right? This is easier for her rather than going for a manufacturing. So that is a thought process. Okay. Now you may start with a business idea. Try to find a way of making into a business idea. Yeah. Try to find a way to make it into a business idea. Yes. Any other doubts anybody is having? Exactly, like snack drop shipping. See what's in is saying. Yes. So start with a. You may have a business idea. Now all of you may have be sitting there with a business idea. Now I want to give you a challenge. Okay, debate, brainstorm, and try to make your business idea to startup idea. Again, let me tell you, it's not necessary that your business. You should not do business. You should do a startup. You can do either a business or a startup, but have the right thought process in mind. Okay, that is where exactly these sessions will help you to create the right entrepreneurial mindset. Okay, so thank you very much for joining in this session. I believe the time's up, and I'll request Leo. Do you want to announce something, Leo?
Sir, Leo is not here. He's having some technical issue. He
Okay,
has
okay,
asked me to announce.
okay, definitely, Swapna. Go ahead and do it.
Good evening, everyone. Like there's a link for the feedback in the chat box. Kindly fill that if you haven't filled it yet, and also join our WhatsApp group. The link for the WhatsApp group is also given. And we have an event called Mishmash, which started actually at 5 p.m. on our Insta page. Slowly and gradually, we are uploading 1 month stories. There's totally 15 questions. You have to solve that, and the reward is that whoever wins that will get a chance to talk to one of an entrepreneur on the 14th, live one-on-one. So please do participate in that. Thank you.
Yes, and also I have put names of 2 books that you can go back and, if possible, buy and read. The 2 books which are known as Lean Startup by Eric Rice and Running Lean by Ash Maurya. Okay, these 2 are amazing books to understand this, how to find a startup idea, and if you have a startup idea, how to start with almost no investment or minimal investment possible. Okay, so I believe these 2 books would do a great mindset sort of work in you. Okay, so I would highly encourage you to go back and read this book. Okay.
Sir, in the chart, it is not opening. That link is not working in the chart, sir.
The link for chat box is not opening. Okay, so
Yeah.
can you look into it?
Maybe it will be helpful in sending in the WhatsApp group.
Okay, we'll definitely then send it in the across the WhatsApp group to all the participants today. Okay, so thank you so much, all of you, for joining. Okay, I enjoyed your presence. Please get back to me if you have any questions or queries. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.